Hello, welcome to the new video series on this channel. I'm Mr. Sir 71, and we're going to be looking at a full-length speedrun today, commentated by yours truly. Kind of in a run showcase style. I'm going to try to put a lot of teaching moments in here. This is really, I think, what I excel at is teaching and explaining. So this is how we're going to present most of my content from now on. Commentated runs, at least on the YouTube. We'll be streaming, all my run attempts are streamed for the most part. So, if you want to come have a conversation, kind of hang out and chill, that's the place for that. But here, I think we're gonna a little more focused content. We're gonna really get into explaining these speed runs, introducing these games to people, and getting some, beginner to intermediate tips for running these games. So what we've got here is my any percent PV in Hollow Knight. So Hollow Knight, hit 2017 indie Metroidvania, one of my favorite games of all time, probably my favorite game. And I've got over 3,000 hours in it, and most of those speed running, so can't get enough of it. It gets frustrating sometimes, but what doesn't, right? So, like I said, this is any percent, main speed category for most games. For this game, it's any percent NMG, no major glitches. It's basically glitchless. There's just some small ones that we allow. Just because the game's so glitchy in general, you can't legislate them all out. It's not possible. So, and the other part that you see on my live split here is 1.2.2.1. That's the patch of the game I'm playing on. This is the generally accepted speed patch for the NMG rule set. This is the fastest you can get while following those rules. So there's a lot of patches on this, a lot of glitches on this patch that get patched out later. There's a very active, very cool speedrun community on the current patch of the game, which is 1578 or something like that, and I primarily run on that patch. So you'll be seeing some content from there in the future, but here we got some 1221 content. A lot of people run this, so yeah, we'll see how I can do for any percent. Here's the first kind of really trick of the run, which is called double spike. You can see you killed two acids with the same spike. Pretty tight, pretty tight. You don't really have much movement right now. So as you can see, I really just I can jump, and then I can swing my nail here, my melee attack. And you can swing that left, right, up, down. It's pretty cool. You've already seen me do a few pogos. That's where you downswing onto some object that is, interactable, and you kind of bounce on it, which is a very important mechanic for any gameplay of this game. So I am playing on PC here, not any console. PC is going to be your best bet for performance, for load times, but most importantly, if you're speedrunning this game, you can use the load remover and auto splitter for the game on PC, whereas if you ran on console, they're on separate leaderboards divided by console, and you just have to do your RTA time. But on PC, we try to remove the hardware difference timings by using the loadless timer here. So here, we're fighting our first boss of the game. This is False Knight. Right before the boss, I kind of lured all these little husks in here because they die when False Knight falls in, and they actually drop that Geo on the ground, those little things on the ground. That's the money in the game called Geo. And, the route I'm doing is not super tight on Geo, but it's, it's something to think about. And it doesn't really lose time for me to have lured them in there, so it's kind of like a fun game for me to play. And I've got 20 Geo here. You need like 10, so I'm doing pretty well there. And that fight actually did not go to completion. There's 3 cycles in that fight, but after the first cycle, you can actually use a dev-intended skip, which I did. It's any percent. We don't have to beat the boss really, other than to get to this area, where we're going to pick up our first spell. This is Vengeful Spirit. This will be our main damage output of the run. We're going to actually pick up a charm later on to boost the damage output of this. But right now, We've got our nail, our melee attack, does 5 damage. This VS does 15, so equivalent of 3 nail hits. And if you look in the top left, you'll see this glowing circle with eyes on it. That's our soul meter, and that is mana, basically, you know. 9 nail swings that hit enemies fills up that soul meter. And then each cast of the Vengeful Spirit, or any other spell, or any healing, takes a third of that. So 3 nail hits is what's going to fill up 1 cast's worth of soul. So here's the Vengeful Spirit tutorial area. This is not one of the first, because there's a lot in Vengeful Spirit, the first split, but pretty good RNG check there. It's got a 50-50 chance to give you the Balder you need to get an extra cast of soul to kill the enemy, or it just spits acid at you. It's really annoying. I just picked up Soul Catcher. That's the first charm I'm going to pick up in this run. That is not normal in any percent. Really, I just get it because it makes the upcoming areas a little more comfy for me. I wouldn't really recommend it. I'm just so used to it. It's a little more useful on the current patch of the game because of a glitch that's coming up in a second here. But yeah, on 1.2.2.1, I'd really not recommend getting it unless it's required for the category. So here I'm going to make sure I have at least 2 casts of soul. But I make sure it's full right now. You'll see why in a second. But here's going to be a really cool quick kill. So these guys take 4 fireballs to kill. So you'd have to wait for a spit here. But on this patch, the fireball just kind of hangs out right off screen for a little bit. And that one fireball just stayed on the Balder and hit it 4 times. And it just killed it. And then right after that, the reason I had 2 casts was there was what's called a fireball skip. And that's just a little platforming fun moment. That one didn't save much time. It saves like 3 or 4 seconds. But we're going to see some more that save a ton of time. So very important mechanic. We use that fireball to stall in the air. You know, it stops our falling speed. But it also gives us a little push back if we turn the right way before we do it. So here comes the second fireball skip, and this is the biggest one. This is a major, major sequence break. There's a backup. There's an enemy you can pogo off of instead. It's just a little slower. But yeah, we do 2 fireballs on that one and make it up there. Pretty... not too hard, but definitely like one of the first things you'll learn when you're speedrunning this game. So you're going to think it's hard at first, but don't worry too much there. And everywhere you see me getting hits of soul here in Green Path aren't necessary. You got to get all these hits so that you have enough soul for all the things we need soul for. I just did 3 fireball skips. All of those take soul. And we're about to have a Moss Knight quick kill here, where you want to get up to at least 8 hits of soul so that you can get 1 hit of soul here and then fire 3 fireballs. There's a quicker kill where it jumps back and one of those fireballs actually overlaps with it and hits it twice, which is pretty cool. That's called a double hit. We'll see doubles, we'll see triples. I've seen quadruples, but not often. So not on that one. That's just a double, but yeah, we'll see some of those later. Just updating you on the terminology there. So I didn't fight the boss in that room called Benchfly King, because I'm going to fight these guys down here. These are called Moss Knights. And killing them, plus getting these 3 Geo Rocks, actually gets me 180 Geo, just about. And it costs a little bit of time compared to getting the Benchfly King in the room above, but he only gives 65 Geo. So, I mean, it's a pretty significant difference in the Geo count. And the reason that we do that is not so recent reroute. Where we skip some Geo later in the run, so we needed extra. We got those Moss Knights. Here's Hornet. That's our second boss of the run. She's pretty cool. On this patch, you get every 5 times you hit her, she staggers. So, as you can see, I'm getting 3 hits and then doing a nail cancel for the most part. A nail cancel is when you swing your nail and then immediately hit Fireball, and it actually cancels the nail animation, so you get more damage per second, basically. And there we go. Finished Hornet. We picked up our Mothwing Cloak, and this is going to be our dash. So we finally got dash. You know, we're 8 minutes into the run. 759 Cloak is pretty good for me. So I was very happy with this. It's tough when I'm running now to be green to this run. It has happened, but not often. So we just saved and quit out of the game and loaded back in. So what that does is it takes all the progress you've made and it keeps it, but then it brings you back to the last save point. So it brought us back to that bench, which we sat on. So it's the last bench that you sat on is where you respawn in that situation. There are a few exceptions where some things in the game will hard save you there, and anytime you quit out, you won't go to a bench, you'll go back to that point until you bench somewhere else. And there actually, funny enough, is a hard save on that bench. I just happen to have benched there to put on Soul Catcher. So here we are. We are in the Claw Split now, making our way through Fungal Wastes. Pretty much just a movement split, no required kills at all. But we are going to get a little bit of soul here for to kill an enemy later. You don't have to, but he's kind of in the way and he gives some geo, so we like to do it. Coming up here is a pretty cool trick called Explosion Pogo, or E-Pogo. And this is a pretty iconic skip, similar to that one Fireball skip in the game. On this patch, you can actually pogo the explosion of this spore that's going to come down. So you'll see I pogo the spore one time, and then I pogo the explosion the second time. And on current patch, you can only pogo the spore. So there's a little bit more elaborate setup that you got to do compared to on 1.2.2.1, but it's kind of fun. So kill that guy, hit the lever, and then we're heading up here for a cool little early control. When you pick up any abilities in this game, it kind of like takes your control away for 10 seconds or so, but we lured that Mantis down, and it hit us right out of there, got our control back, and we're quitting back out to that same bench again. Pretty fun. I like that split a lot. It's very, very tight. You got to be clean if you want to have a good, a really good time. That is a good time for me, you know, because I'm so good at the game. You know? So, anyways, we're on our way to a mini boss here, Gruzmother. We're gonna try to get 6 hits of soul before we get to the boss. Now I'm wearing Soul Catcher, so I can actually only do 5 hits if I want to. But we're going to need at least 6 hits of soul. So I got 1 off that Aspid. Supposed to get 1 off of this Vengefly, but I didn't. I'll be okay because I have Soul Catcher. You can also just make up the hit of soul somewhere else. So right now I've got 2 hits. You're supposed to have 3. But on the way to Gruzmother, we're going to stop here and buy our first stag. Now this is one of the methods of fast travel in the game. This is the intended one. You buy these stag stations, and you can instantly transport between them by going to one. Pretty simple, right? Save and quitting is another method, and there's a third method that we don't get in this run. So, hit that Aspid on the left there, hit this husk however many times you need, up to 3, to get to that 6 hits of soul. And you got the boss here, there's 3 nail cancels right off the bat, and then it's 6 more nail slashes. Pretty simple, quick kill. Sometimes she runs away and it gets a little sketchy, but that was a really good pattern there. And I do run 4 mash shards as well, where you have to fight this boss without any equipment. And, you know, because of that, I'm pretty good at adjusting to the pattern she gives. That was a little glitch called Walkling Storage. And it's not a huge deal as far as like breaking the game, but it definitely helps a lot with speed. That's another glitch that's been patched out on the latest patches, so you can only do that on this patch and older probably. We just bought Shaman Stone. We also benched right next to that hut. And then we bought Shaman Stone, and here we are taking intentional damage, freeing Sly so we can see him later. You'll see him. And intentionally taking a death. And the reason that we're doing that is that we are going to use our Shade, pogo on it, and just a major sequence break. So we equip Shaman Stone here. 1 slash on the Shade because it dies in 2 and we want our Geo back. And then 1 pogo there, and we skip right up into Blue Lake. That is like a 10-minute skip. It's a really, really cool skip, and we do this in most categories, really. This is critical because really, as far as the abilities we have, the next one coming that we need to like get places is the Super Dash, and we need either money or to get to city and get the Desolate Dive ability. Either way, we kind of need to get to city to do that, and this skip gets us right to city. We went up and went to resting grounds here because we are grabbing Dream now, but we're gonna go right down to city afterwards. So Shaman Stone, the charm we bought, raises the damage of our Vengeful Spirit from 15 to 20. So it's 4 now hits of damage now. It takes 3 charm notches, which is all the charm notches that we have, so we can't equip any other charms right now without overcharming. So just Shaman Stone on. Here we do a little inventory drop off the side here, because respawning and having her spawn now is faster than waiting for her on this patch. On this patch, it's like a super long wait at the start for some reason. And an inventory drop is when you open your inventory midair. It uncaps your fall speed and prevents you from hard falling. Pretty cool. You can't just do that on the latest patches. You can't just open it midair. You have to kind of time it up as you walk off a ledge and really trick the game into thinking you're on a ledge. So here we're going to pick up Dream now. And right after we do that, we're going to do something called Seer Skip. So we're going to pause and unpause as soon as we gain control of our character here. And before we unpause, we're going to release right and repress it so that the game knows that we're going right. And we're going to dash right out of the room. And look, we're not supposed to have control. We're supposed to be waking up on the floor right now. And that also uncaps our fall speed and just lets us leave way earlier. It's like, I think it's something like 7 seconds time save. It's a lot. So anyways, the Dream Nail that we did pick up, kind of the main vessel for the lore in this game. This is a fun welcome storage. At least the 90% lore. To beat the game, we want to go defeat the Hollow Knight, but he's sealed with 3 seals, and each of those seals is kept by what's called a dreamer. So there's these sleeping bugs around Hollow Nest that we have to Dream Nail to enter their dreams. That's what the Dream Nail does. And kill them in their dream to break the seal. And then once we've done that 3 times, we can go for the Hollow Knight. So we just picked up our first relic of the run. That was a Wanderer's Journal. And these are just items that we can sell to an NPC. This one's worth 200 Geo. Right here, we've got a fun mini-boss called Gorgeous Husk. We're going to do some damage to that big one because we're going to fireball them all on the way out. And here's this fight. It's not that hard, especially if you learn this quick kill. This quick kill is excellent. But while you're learning it, sometimes it can just get a little annoying, you know, and you can just take damage for no reason, and it's really frustrating. And even sometimes now that happens. So the only reason I say that is if you get frustrated with it, know that you're not alone. Like, it happens. It's like tricky for no reason. So it's all good. And that Gorgeous Husk has 420 Geo, plus her friends outside have some Geo. Pretty good. We're hitting this lever through the floor here, and I kind of missed it a bunch of times. You're supposed to do it first try, but we hit the lever through the floor, which is not intended, and skip a bunch of this room. So we actually didn't even hit the trigger that lights up the part of the room we were in. So it was dark and I had to navigate it without seeing. I actually messed it up. You don't know that. So here we are going up to the chandelier. We're gonna break this chandelier, cut it down, and it's gonna fall on one of these bugs in the next room. And that's awesome for us because that bug is 1/6 of the boss fight that I'm about to do. This is Water Knight. This is the hardest boss so far in the run by a mile. When you're learning any percent, a lot of people quit when they're trying to learn this boss. A lot of people quit when they're trying to learn the last boss, the Hollow Knight. But more so this one. This one's really, really tough. So basically, the name of the game is get hits in and play aggressive without getting hit, which is a tough balance. You're really underpowered when you're fighting this boss in any percent. That's why so many people struggle with it. And everybody does. It's not, nobody's unnatural, right? You just need to practice, and you'll get better at it. Watch tutorials, watch good runners, talk to people if you're struggling, myself included. If you ever need help with anything in this game, I'm more than happy to help. So, one of the things that can help with this boss is getting some upgrades. It's not optimal in any percent to do that. You know, we really just have Shaman Stone VS, that's about it. I played that very well, and this gold is so annoying to run against. And one of those upgrades you can get is you can upgrade your Vengeful Spirit, and you can double its damage. Get Shade Soul. And there's actually a route to do any percent with Shade Soul, and I grinded out a really good time with it. I grinded out a sub 40 any percent with Shade Soul recently, to make a video just like this, to make a tutorial really. But that's going to fit right in this series, so look out for that coming pretty soon. I've got a couple true ending videos I want to throw up first, but then that one honestly is probably next. So if you want to see that soon, let me know. I can prioritize it a bit, but it's in the queue at the moment. So that was our first streamer. That's Lurian, the Watcher. And yeah, we just gotta go find 2 more of those fellas. They're actually both women. 2 more of those ladies. Lurian's a man though. And then we can go fight the Hollow Knight. So beat Watcher Knight. The other reward, other than the Dreamer, is a relic. This is a Hollow Nest Seal, which is worth 450 Geo, and a Geo chest with 655 Geo in it. So we are farming Geo right now, and that's because we're about to spend it all. We want our Super Dash ability, like I talked about earlier. That's called Crystal Dash, obtained by picking up the Crystal Heart. And that is in Crystal Peak. And there's 2 ways to get into Crystal Peak. One is what we're going to do, which is buy Lunafly Lantern, which makes dark rooms light. And the other is to get the Desolate Dive ability to break one of the breakable floors above it. That takes a bit longer for just strictly any percent, so we do the Lantern. You just got to farm a bunch of Geo and then buy it. It's 1800 Geo, that's a lot. So the reason you need the Lantern, by the way, if you're wondering, it's not just because the room is dark and we can't find our way through it. Like, we learn a bunch of dark rooms all the time as speedrunners in this game. There are categories that don't, any percent included. But I think it's pretty fun, personally, but to each their own, right? The reason we get Lantern, though, that was Raptor Skip, by the way. Pretty hard, but saves a lot of time. Pretty cool. And there's another Hollow Nest Seal up here. The reason we get Lantern is because to get into peaks that way, you have to interact with a toll in that dark room, and it won't let you interact if you don't have Lantern. It's like, you're not supposed to be in here. Get out of here, kid. No. So I mentioned we would sell those relics to an NPC. This is he. This is Lem the Relic Seeker, and he is like tied for my favorite NPC with like 2 other NPCs in this game. I love him so much. He just loves his little history and his little knickknacks. I like him a lot. And you'll notice on Live Split now, I'm no longer comparing against my PB. It says it right up at the top of Live Split. I'm comparing against best split times because I'm on a really good run. And as you can see, I'm only 4 seconds behind my best split times. So that means the fastest I've ever beat Watcher Knight, like total for the run before that, was only 4 seconds faster than what I've done now. So I'm very close to my best ever run to this point, which is excellent. So there's another stag station, and we're actually going to use a stag for the first time here. I unlocked it and left to skip the animation of it unlocking the actual bell. And then I came back in, shot a fireball at the bell to ring it, and then left to skip the animation of the stag arriving. And then I went back in. Pretty cool. that's one of the ways to do what we call fire bell. But there's a few other ways. We'll see some of those later. Here we are in Dartmouth. We took the bench because we're going to save and quit back here later. And then here's Sly. This is why we saved him, so we could come buy Lantern from him. There's Lantern. I am now 5 seconds ahead of my best split times. Best pace ever by 5 seconds. Looking pretty good. So we're making our way into Crystal Peak pretty soon here. So we'll stag back to Crossroads. This is why we bought that stag. And, you know, it's pretty interesting. This is the fastest movement that we'll get in this whole run, right? We get it so late. It's like, it's just so hard to get the geo or the ability to get it. Like, it just takes a while. So there's so much stuff we do on the way there while we're farming the geo. And then it's like, we get this, and then it's just like a couple of things. And then we fight the final boss. It's kind of ironic, because it's a speedrun, right? But whatever. Here comes a pretty neat trick. This is called Pogax, because you're pogoing an axe. Little bit of RNG involved, but it's pretty consistent on this patch. It's more RNG on latest patch. Most people don't do it on that patch, myself included. But I do it on this patch because it's a lot of fun. You see all these lasers coming out of these crystal crawlids here? These are actually proximity-based cycles on the lasers. So like once you get within a certain distance, the cycle will start, right? So it's pretty interesting. You can like manipulate the cycles a little bit depending on where you go in the room. I'm not so versed in the cycles on this patch, but I'm pretty good at manipulating them on latest patch. Speaking of cycles, great example of that's coming up in this next room here. This is the Crystal Heart room. It's a pretty big room. There are 2 cycles in this room. One, which I'm going to do, is the damage cycle. You take 1 damage tank. I'm just the most experienced with this, and it's faster technically. Take an intentional tank there, just flying through. Everything lines up perfectly. It's actually pretty neat. Learning this is so cool because it's just like the seas part in front of you. The lasers are just not there. And there's also a damageless cycle, just a little like bit of hesitation at the start when you're riding up those conveyor belts. Look at probably a lot of 100% runs have that, full completion runs, because they don't quit out here. They keep going. Alright, quitting back to this bench in Dartmouth, and we are coming right up on our next dreamer here. So we're going to go back down this nice tall room in Forgotten Crossroads. We call this Gruzzer Drop, or the room at least, the next one here. And I kind of skimmed over it the first time, but that's like the iconic Gruzzer Drop. And then this is also Gruzzer Drop, but it's infected Gruzzer Drop, which is worse. And I didn't hit anything that was infected. I just ran into a tick-tick that I knew would be there because I'm dumb. And then in this next room here, we're going to do what's called an acid skip. So you're not supposed to be able to get under this wall, but by clinging to the side of that wall and C-dashing over, you can actually go under the wall but above the acid. It's pretty cool. There's another way to do it too with wings, but I'm not great at it. And also we don't have wings in this speedrun. So, and we're making our way through Fog Canyon here into Teacher's Archives, which is where Monomon resides, the next streamer. So, we're coming up on the boss fight, Umu, which happens before Monomon. You want to have at least 3 soul before you enter this fight. 3 hits of soul, so 1/3 of the meter. I tend to try to get 6 hits of soul, 2/3 of the meter. Because when you swing the Dream Nail, I didn't mention this, you get a cast of soul if you hit an enemy. So that's what I just did there, to fill out the rest of my soul meter. You can get 2 swings in, and you can even get another one in at the end of this cycle if you really want, but it's all just more risk, right? So you'll notice between each attack I'm going to a specific spot and luring Umu around, kiting it around the exact right way I want. because it's a specific setup for the 2-cycle fight here. And I actually get the first cycle. I got the full damage of the first cycle. I think it's 300 damage total, so 150 per cycle. The fastest we can do here is a 2-cycle. And I got the first cycle. I'm not getting the second cycle at all. I really messed it up, but that's okay. The easiest way to 3-cycle is to come close to 2-cycle, right? So I got the first cycle. Really all I gotta do now is fill up my soul meter and shoot my fireballs. Don't have to do any specific setups or anything. That was a risky dream now. But that's just my experience in the game, you know? So, decent 3-cycle. I mean, you know, you don't like to not see the 2-cycle, but as you can see, my last PB, I mean, either it 4-cycled or it got a couple extras. And here's Umbu, our next streamer. We'll go ahead and kill them. And you can also see at the bottom of Live Split, my gold is 20 seconds faster than what I just did, because it's a 2-cycle. Umu has a lot of RNG in it. That didn't affect why I 3-cycled just now, but it can make it harder because there's a set number of attacks between each vulnerability period where you can attack. And, you know, you kite it a certain way per attack, but it can be RNG how many attacks there are. It can be, on the first cycle, it can be either 3 or 4. On every subsequent cycle, it could be either 2 or 3, and it's like... So obviously we want less attacks because it's faster. But even so, if we get an extra, not only is it slow, we then have to adjust for that pattern. And we do that usually by just jumping in the acid, pretty much. Because we respawn right where we want Umu to be. It's kind of funny. But anyways, we got our second dreamer here, just one more left. And we are gonna scoot on over to the third one. Now, the optimal route for any percent goes through Queen's Gardens to get to Deep Nest. That is by hitting a pretty difficult acid skip called QGA, Queen's Gardens Acid Skip. If you're just starting out, I don't recommend QGA, actually. I recommend you go all the way to the bottom of this room and to the right through Fungal Wastes to get to Deep Nest that way. Plenty of runs do that. Here's QGA, by the way. Took a few tries here to get it set up, but once I set it up, I hit it first try. That's good enough for me. A better runner would have wanted it set up quicker, but I'm not picky. I'm not that picky, at least. But if you want to see a run that goes that Deep Nest route, I recommend you go watch my Switch any percent world record from 2 years ago. It's not world record anymore. It recently got bopped by Claputo. Shoutouts. But I'm actually going to be running again in like this coming week. I'm going to be running it again, so we'll see. We'll see. I actually do QGA on Switch now, which I don't recommend. That arena was really hard, by the way. You need full soul entering that arena. You're so underpowered for that. But each Petra just dies in 2 fireballs, so if you can get a double hit on the first Petra, which I did not, then you'll just have 2 fireballs, and you hit both of the Petras with each fireball for the second pair, and then you're good. So we're just doing some platforming here. If you have full soul, or full health, rather, you should gather soul here, because you'll probably use that soul in Beast Den. But since I have 2 health, I'm going to do a quit out as soon as I spawn in Beast Den, because that's another one of those hard saves. So, ooh. This is spooky. And I am at 1 HP here. So you have a couple choices when you're on 1 HP, right? Heal, or play fast and hope you don't die. What I did there is play slow and careful, and that's really just the worst option out of the 3. I had soul to heal. If I was going to play that carefully, I should have just healed, because then I wouldn't have taken so long in the rest of the room. And that's a good lesson for a speedrunner starting out in this game. Don't play sloppy on 1 HP, heal, and then play cleanly afterwards. Or play risky and risk the death. But we will go here, sit on the trap bench, and enter Beast Stun. This was a decent trap bench, but I'm going to lose quite a bit of time to my gold here. I'm still comparing to best split times, by the way. 21 seconds ahead of my best split times after Umu is pretty crazy. Like I said, I only had 2 health as a trap bench, so it didn't actually restore our health. So I'm going to do this quit out here. I respawn right there, and by doing this quit out and getting rid of all of my soul, I'm committing to doing Devout Skip. Devout Skip is what I talked about earlier, where we're skipping some Geo. We're not going to kill this Devout. We're going to try to go over it. So I messed up my setup a little bit there. There's a consistent way to get over it there, and like I said, I messed it up. Now, if you're committed to doing Devout Skip here, the proper thing to do is then just quit out again a second time and just try again from scratch. But for some reason, my brain didn't want to do that. I decided to like try to kill it, but then like it backed up so I could go over it again. I got lucky there. Like I should have been losing a lot of time to doing that, but I got out of it with 2 HP and a dream, baby. You do need 2 HP because the quick kill on the last Devout that we're going to have to kill, that's not an option, does include a damage tank. So I want full soul, and I want at least 2 HP. So I've got both of those, and you're going to see the quick kill here. Definitely recommend learning this quick kill. You empty out your soul, hit it twice while tanking into it, 2 more hits, and then a cast. And that's it. You need Shaman Stone for that to work, or else you need 2 more now hits, and you'll just die instead. But we didn't die. Somehow got through that done without losing a year, but I did lose a bunch of time to gold. Regardless, we got Hera. The live split 12 seconds ahead of gold, or ahead of my best split times. My best pace ever before this, 12 seconds faster. So let's see how THK can go. You'll notice I'm 33 my best split times loses 33 seconds to gold. So, and remember, that best split times number gets us to PB, right? So the pace that we're 12 seconds ahead of, if it took 4 minutes and 3 seconds to kill THK, it would match PB. So we're looking at some time save here. It's looking pretty good. I said we needed some Geo. This is why. That's a 250 Geo stag. It's the last thing we buy in the run. The run's pretty much over. The way I unlocked that stag and rang the bell is pretty cool with the C dash. You can go back and watch it. That's how I recommend opening this stag. There are faster ways with fireballs, but I just think that way is cool. And also doesn't cost you soul, which is good. I think I do an early control here. Yeah, pause and unpause. Be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to be touching the ground when you would normally regain control, or else you can get some weird glitches, which would invalidate your run. Speaking of invalidating your run, there's a funny glitch you can do here where if you C-dash into this like cutscene, or you do Cyclone Slash as you're entering it, or you shoot a fireball and the knockback pushes you into it, whatever state you were in, it kind of preserves that and like gives you early control while that cutscene's happening, and you can like move around like in the C-dashing sprite or in the fireball sprite or swinging your nail around like a helicopter. It's pretty funny. But here's THK. This is probably my favorite fight in the game, is any percent THK. I do prefer the latest patch THK, LP THK, because he actually moves a bit faster, so it's harder, and it is just what I first learned, right? So I'm always going to prefer that. 1-2-2-1 THK, a little bit easier, but it's still any percent THK. It's no joke, right? So this is, as I said, one of my favorite fights, probably one of my biggest like strengths in this game. And I think I'm actually going to be making a tutorial for this pretty soon. How to fight him, yes, but also how to practice fighting this boss. I think that's pretty valuable. So if you want to see that soon, again, let me know so I can bump it up in my list of things I'm doing. I really like the style of content. I'm pretty happy. This is genuine to me. So that self-stab phase was just about the halfway point of the fight. Always a good milestone to get to. Gives you some time to heal. And, you know, I can lose so much time here and still PB. But what I'm really shooting for is a sub 35 time. So I just want to lose less than, like, 20 seconds to gold. So. Ooh! Oh. I forgot about that. I was on 1 HP. He was slamming into me. That would have killed me. But I shot my fireball at the exact right time, so the fireball hit THK first, killed him, and I didn't die. That is crazy. I knew he was close to dying, but I didn't know he was exactly one fireball away, you know? For all I knew, I was dead. So I got a little lucky. But they don't ask how, they ask how many. So, there's our PB, 50-second PB. 34:30, that's a really good time. I'm very happy with this time. And let me tell you, I've been trying to run against it last few days. It's tough. This is a really good run. I know I can get a sub 34, and I'm still running to try that. So, you know, tune into the Twitch stream, linked in the description. But I'm really happy with this time. If I don't beat this time soon, I'm okay walking away with this time. This is fantastic. I'm just gonna... I didn't mute in time to... I knew that sound was coming up. But, yep. Thank you for watching. That was a really annoying gold, by the way. That's also so annoying to run against. But, anyways. Like I said, this is the first video in this style, in this series. I hope you like it a lot. I'm going to try to get, like, at least one video like this up a week. I've got just a huge backlog of runs I could commentate over. But I also want to take the opportunity when I'm looking at each run to maybe run it again, see if I can get some PBs. Especially once we start getting into the games that I've run, you know, not 3,000 hours, where my PBs are more easily improvable. So, yeah, I really like this. This feels good. I hope you enjoyed it as well. A lot of Hollow Knight content coming up in the near future for this. I've got 2 true ending videos I want to make next. I've got that Shade Soul any percent tutorial I was telling you about. I've got a THK tutorial, which isn't exactly this series, but you know, that'll be coming down the pipeline too. I'll probably do a latest patch GPZ percent one coming up soon, because I'm going to be running that pretty soon. And I've got just a ton more runs I want to showcase. I love showing people Hollow Knight. I love educating people about the run. I love helping people with their own speedrunning. So definitely look out. There will be plenty more of this to come pretty soon. So let me know if you like this. If you didn't, I don't know. I don't want to know. But if you let me know that you like it in the comments, I'm definitely going to keep making them. So, and let me know if you have any suggestions for runs. If there's any category you want to have demonstrated for you, please feel free. And I do kind of live under a rock. So if I missed anything, if I got any information wrong, or if there's anything that I should have mentioned and I didn't, please let me know. And I'll work to correct that next time. If you want to see more from me in the future, make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. You can like the video, but the most important thing you can do for me is to click another one of my videos right after that. So definitely make sure to check out another one of my speedruns or some of my other content. We got some chess, we got some, more content-based stuff. It's not necessarily speedruns, but yeah. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Bye-bye.